Hi, this is Matt at State of Flux here with a review for Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, occasionally called Godzilla vs. the Cosmic Monster. This was the final film of Jun Fukuda in the Godzilla mythos, and he is a director within these films who brought a very distinct visual style and aesthetic. That is something that I would miss kind of moving forward, but I do think that a lot of Godzilla filmmakers who would come later, especially in the Heisei era, would look to his work to kind of guide their films. This is a movie that at one time I was not a big fan of, and I think oftentimes people are somewhat critical of. However, one that with repeated viewings later in life I've kind of grown to really admire and appreciate. What's weird though is that this film was the 20th anniversary Godzilla movie and designed to be as such. But it feels weird because it doesn't necessarily feel a ton like a Godzilla movie. I was convinced while watching it through this run-through that this was another case similar to Ebra Horror of the Deep, where Godzilla was posited in after they had developmental rights with the original concept of the script, because this feels very much like a King Kong kind of story out of Japan. Right down to Godzilla accepting all the lightning blasts that imbue him for whatever reason with magnetic powers. But I'm getting off book. A lot of it sort of feels as if it should be ape related, Kong related, right down to the aliens. This is an alien invasion story yet again, and the aliens, when they reveal their true form, very much are ape-like monsters that look like kind of horned versions, I was going to say horny, but horned versions of the Planet of the Apes aliens from the 60s and 70s films. But alas, this always, to my shock, was designed as the 20th anniversary send-up of Godzilla. So they were going to have Godzilla versus Godzilla, which is why in the beginning of the picture you have a full Godzilla, fully evil, destroying, ravaging a city, something we haven't seen him do in over a decade's worth of films. And that was kind of neat, going back to a world where you have Godzilla the Menace. But it proves to be short-lived as a chink of his skin comes off and reveals the metal underlayer of him. And he is a Mechagodzilla that is battling Anguirus. Anguirus has he gets just annihilated in this movie, man. This is a hard movie. So this is rated G by current standards. I don't know how that is possible or plausible. This is one of the most violent of the kaiju monster movies that I have seen. If I were to rate this movie, it would be a hard-ass PG-13, if not a soft R. This movie has more gore in it than like Army of Darkness, which originally was given an NC-17 and had to go in through several passes to get an R rating. And this was awarded with a G rating. Go figure. But anyway, this is a movie where you have Mechagodzilla designed by the aliens to wipe out Earth. And so Godzilla and Anguirus and King Caesar, a new monster, kaiju monster brought into the fold, designed after, I believe, the mythological creature from China, I want to say. And it's sort of like a dog lion. It's a really cool looking monster, and I like whoever played that monster. I don't know if it was just the suit itself allowed for more physicality, or the fact that it is just able, the person in it had such energy that they were able to move, but it has a very distinct feel of movement. This monster feels much more visceral and whatnot. It brought a completely different energy to this movie than any of the ones that had come before. It doesn't feel like a dude in a rubber suit. That monster felt real. That you'd look at it and obviously like you'd see that it's similar in style to those other monsters. But the physicality of it was what impressed me. And much like Godzilla vs. Megalon before, King Caesar does take up quite a bit of that screen time, but Godzilla comes in, he does not disappoint, his scenes are great, as well as Anguirus, and as I say, this is a bloody showdown at the very end. Godzilla gets jacked up throughout the course of his battle with Mechagodzilla. And Mechagodzilla's powers are just simply cool. He has the laser vision, he has like the kind of bullet nose, he can do the shoot fire, he has rocket fingers later on in some of these movies and stuff like that. Like, they keep giving him newer and newer powers with each subsequent film, but it was something that always impressed me. And I like how you get certain signals early on that the Godzilla that's invading the town and destroying the city isn't the true Godzilla, because his fire breath is yellow. He makes huge sounding footsteps that you don't get with the traditional Godzilla. The regular Godzilla has like a boom, boom, but this one sort of sounds like a trash can clamping down really loud, which makes sense because there's a metal underlayer. This is Godzilla versus the Terminator, and long and short of it. But yeah, I like it. There's a human storyline that involves people on Okinawa Island and all that stuff, which is, when I was a kid I didn't really respond well to, but I found with this viewing I responded better to it. This is handled better than a lot of the other movies with its human characters. By this point they were kind of more focused on monster action than developing a human story, but when it does eke into the human story of things, I was invested the whole way through. This is one that came out relatively strongly. However, for all the qualities I am praising the film, it is a weirdly substanceless movie, at least stateside. Upon my research, if you were a citizen of Japan watching this movie with the kind of differing ideologies of those of mainland Japan and those of Okinawa, the citizens there who were often at conflict, but then seeing Godzilla, who's representative of Japan, and King Caesar, who's representative of Okinawa, uniting together to battle the enemy in front of them, which kind of sounded like it might have been America. That gives it a meaning that, or USSR potentially, but anyway, gave us a meaning that was completely lost on me due to historical context and stuff like that, being ignorant of that. So just watching it as a fan of Godzilla, it's just kind of another one of these monster movies, them hitting each other. They try to force in human story, somewhat compelling, but let's get back to the cool monster stuff. So that would be my one criticism. It's mostly good. I recommend it, especially with how beloved Mechagodzilla is, and whatnot. Here's the thing I'll say with Mechagodzilla. I think he's arguably one of the coolest looking villains in all of Godzilla's mythos, but he hasn't really been in a truly great Godzilla movie. This one I responded better to than most times I watch the Godzilla franchise, but I had a friend once who's deeply obsessed with Godzilla, and he was talking about Mechagodzilla, and how Mechagodzilla is the coolest looking monster, the most badass monster, and has not been in a single good Godzilla movie. And I was like, huh. And I started thinking back, and I'm like, you know what, you're kind of right. Everyone that I've seen him in has been like sorely disappointing. And I was like, huh. And I was in a movie theater, eons later, where I was watching the movie Ready Player One. Spoilers for Ready Player One in 3, 2, 1. Mechagodzilla shows up in Ready Player One. And I was sitting there throughout most of Ready Player One being like, I can't stand this movie. This movie's awful. And the moment I saw Mechagodzilla show up, that quote bubble popped in my head of my friend saying that, and I was like, oh my god, he's right. Like, this movie should be made for me. It's got everything I love in it. It's got aliens, it's got Mortal Kombat characters, it's got Batman, it's got The Shining, it's got, like, Freddy Krueger, it's got Serenity, the Starship Serenity, it's got freaking Mechagodzilla playing the original Godzilla theme song for a couple of beats, and yet I still hate this movie. And so I was like, oh my god, his hypothesis is proved true, but it would later be disproved, and I'll talk about that when we get there. But anyway, where do you land on the whole Mechagodzilla thing? Are you a defender of the Mechagodzilla movies? What is your favorite Mechagodzilla movie? Drop that down in the comments down below. I have an answer, but I will get to that in the weeks ahead when we eventually get to the Godzilla movie that has Mechagodzilla that I like a lot. Thanks for watching. Peace.